Hey, this is Notser, and today we're talking about the hotfix. It's just introduced. This is an example of the hotfix. I already played a game just to get an idea. We're in the Hakuryu, and the hotfix affected this the most. So, 0.8.0.1 is trying to address the power that the CVs have over everyone else. They introduced a lot of nerfs to different CVs and also buffs to continuous AA damage. Now here's going to be a great example of the nerf that they did to the Hakuryu. This aim should only be 1 second, or only was 1 second in 8.0. They nerfed the initial aim period to 4.7 seconds or something ridiculous on the Hakuryu's torpedoes. So it's stamped out. It's gone. That whole spam out 3 different sets of 4 torpedoes, stealth torpedoes, 8 kilometers, 6.7. You can't possibly stop it. 4, 5, 6, 700,000 damage done. That's gone. You can't do that anymore with that kind of aim time. It takes way too long. And you'll note that the activation range is even more pronounced. It takes a lot more lead to get these torpedoes to hit. So they've really did their homework on stamping out this specific playstyle, but let's talk about everything else. So, first note, to reduce the attacking and spotting potential of attack aircraft against destroyers in high-tier battles, the number of aircraft in squadron was changed to 9 in the attack group to 3. So, that means there's only 3 potential attack runs that you can do from your attack squadrons. This is affecting the Lexington, the Shokaku, the Midway, and the Hakuryu. Now, you might, he's flying over a DD once again, this is exactly what the previous version. Yeah, it's because I can't get anywhere close to the enemy. If there's more than one ship grouped up, there's too much AA protection. This will become abundantly clear as we go through this video. Next change in the hotfix, they increase the height which returning aircraft need to reach in order to become invulnerable to AA fire. This will allow ships to fire longer on returning aircraft and will help to counter the tactic in which player gives order to the squadron to return immediately after the first attack run. This was coined the F key spam. So there's a little bit of a delay between when you press the F key and when the aircraft are safe from harm. This is a much more pronounced delay, and I can verify that if you press F key over any significant AA other than DD, you basically have lost the whole squadron. It's a very significant nerf. Another change that they made, maneuvering among the AA explosions allows you to reduce damage received from air defense, even while in a long-range AA ship with powerful AA defense. They redistribute the efficiency of the air defense between the constant damage and the puffs of damage from the explosions of flak bursts, which are avoidable. The constant is not. They increase the amount of constant DPS that is just persistent in every single AA aura. And this is a massive change. You pretty much, regardless of skill, take massive AA damage. We've gone to the other extreme now. This enemy Montana, he was isolated. I took an opportunity, and it absolutely paid off. But if this Montana was just slightly closer to the camping Des Moines or the other cruiser, my AA wouldn't be able to do anything. I would have lost all my squadron already, and I would have not done a single attack run. Looks like we're going to get maybe a second opportunity. I'm looking for another Citadel. Not quite this easy this time. We do get, however, straight on. And it misses the chance to get the Citadel. But now we're so low that, yeah, pretty much the constant DPS is gone. Just look at it this way. Every single squadron's stated number of attack runs, take 1 off of that. That's pretty much going to be your realistic expectation now. If it was supposed to do 4 runs, maybe 3 runs, if you're lucky, over 1 target. Over 2 targets or more, you're not even going to get a run off. It's a real jump in damage output. They changed several features of the Japanese torpedo bombers. Now, if during the preparation for the attack, the attacking group maneuvers, your aim will not stabilize. Before, one of the reasons why the Hakuryu and all the other Japanese were so strong is because during that default aim period, any maneuvering that you did didn't contribute to throwing off the accuracy. So you could maneuver perfectly into range and have it perfectly set up to drop after you had control of it once again. And that's great, and that's awesome. But unfortunately, that accompanying all these other changes just means that it is 10 times harder to have any real chance. You know, one change that they could have possibly made is that it doesn't contribute to stabilize, but they did that on top of the 4-second nerf to your torpedoes, at least at tier 10. Don't really know outside of tier 10 how it feels, but I imagine that it's still going to feel pretty difficult. And the bubble is real. The AA bubble is extreme. They reduced the chance of flooding by approximately a third for Japanese aerial torpedoes, tier 4 to tier 8, and a half for the German and the Japanese, so the Graf Zeppelin and the tier 10 Japanese torpedoes. We've already talked roughly about the significant changes that are affecting the alternative torpedoes, which I'm using right now. Just want to sum up exactly what they've done. The attack run preparation is now longer. That's the aim. It takes 4.5 seconds or so. The parameters of the aiming were changed. The angles of the torpedo spread were also increased. Everything is nerfed associated with this specific pattern drop. I'm trying to go after this Des Moines, who has been trying to camp so hard. And no, we have not run through a flak burst yet. But look at how much significant damage we take. We have to use the heal just to survive over the target just a little bit. Now, I appreciate that, but it's pretty much only the Montana and this enemy cruiser that are really contributing a ton of AA. I felt like he was right on the edge there, by the way. And yes, he was, of course. He tried to retreat and camp the other corner on the island. I was able to get a little bit of attack run. And it seems that stealth still works very, very well. It might be the best attribute that's available to this squadron. And I appreciate that change. Is the Des Moines going to die to me? No, of course he dies to someone else. I really appreciate the stealth change. It makes it more rewarding. Obviously, the previous playstyle was egregious and it needed to be stamped out. So I'm fine with them over nerfing that. There's no way that the old Hakuryu should exist. Wargaming made a global nerf to the speed of all aircraft as they are returning to the carrier. It's just straight slower. And, you know, this is a good change. If it existed on its own, it's just so much nerfing. This is just clearly they want them to exist in a state where the community is at least tolerable of their existence while they dial in. But for me personally, playing through the new AA power, the continuous, constant, like this is a death trap. If I go anywhere near 2 or 3 ships, my aircraft die in 5 seconds. I can't get that close. So instead I'm going to pick on DDs, because the DDs always seem to isolate themselves. And yeah, I have bombs, because my attack squadron is still rearming. It still hasn't technically rearmed yet. It finally does, but I had to wait a long time to get that. I had to go through the torpedo squadron, a full attack run. I had to go through a dive bomber squadron to some extent, and then now finally I have enough for a full squadron, which, you know, by the way, has already been nerfed by 3 aircraft. So it's a really, really harsh change across the board with all of it combined. To increase the effectiveness of attacks, they added a resistance barrier. Whenever a bomber enters in a green state with their aim, they take reduced damage. They take 30% reduced damage, in fact. But, you know what? I don't know that that is noticeable at all. I don't believe it applies to attack squadrons, only torpedo and dive bombers. And we're trying to take out this Jutland. We land a fire, but he's not dead yet. And I only have one more attack to go. Remember, you only have 3 attacks now with the attack squadron instead of 4. And of course, he smokes out. I try and aim in his last known position, but good luck with that. And now I get to wait an eternity while my attack squadrons... I haven't had a single one recalled yet. They're still on approach. Just now, the first one from the first attacking run reached my carrier, and I'm pretty close. That reduction in speed is really noticeable. They have a bug fix. The aiming for the stock attack aircraft on the carrier Ranger is now similar to the aiming of all American attack aircraft. The characteristics of the basic fighter consumable for the Emerald are brought to the same value as Fighter 2. Not that any of this matters. Short-range AA defense now includes guns up to 30 millimeters. This change will combine weak, medium-range AA defense with short-range AA defense, strengthening the latter and removing the zone where the effectiveness of anti-air guns was low. This will affect the following ships, for example: the Atlanta, Pensacola, Dallas, Colorado, Arizona. And then finally, if the ship has no 30mm AA guns, medium-range AA defense start at 1 kilometer. These ships' AA configuration will be emphasized if you can't shoot planes inside the 1 kilometer. So there's always protection. Your ship will always have some effective AA contribution, regardless of range. That's just what they want to protect you from. And can't dive bomb, trying to scramble my attack squadron. So my thoughts on the hotfix. After playing a couple of carrier games, you have to relearn the whole game once again. Even someone who was able to avoid the flak, I'm dealing with less resources on the attack. I mean, obviously the attack squadron, you just straight up have 1 less attack that you can use. You have 3 instead of 4, and you really only have 2 because the AA is so powerful. And then on top of that, the recalling time is so noticeable. It's such a huge nerf. I'm trying to find the Jutland. He's super low, but he's really close to a friendly. Yep, there he is. And every time I try and get close, this friendly is going to protect him very, very well. Just get a little bit of chip damage. Oh, come on. I'm so desperate to get this guy dead. The game's almost over. And this Jutland, of course, he smokes out. So just the perfect ending to this AA hotfix example game. It's just ridiculous. I can't kill a damn DD. He spent so long avoiding all of the damage by being just within striking distance of a teammate. Look at that Jutland mocking me with his low health, visible. It's very noticeable that surface ships now dominate in this regard. So maybe that's a better base to work off of. I can't really see how carriers are going to feel any power right now until they readjust how to learn. So the aim point provides you with a damage reduction. So something like the torpedo bomber may have to aim longer, and that reduction in damage will allow them to actually damage the targets they're supposed to. So I'm going to have to relearn all of this, but clearly all of the cheesiness, all of the unfair feeling that the surface ships had, that's pretty much gone. The balance has definitely shifted in favor of the surface ships. Leave in the comments what you think of all of this. I'm going to be streaming on twitch.tv/Notser to experience the hotfix for myself later today. Hopefully you'll join me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.